Hi everybody, this is Rebekah Weintraub with Transforming Today Show, and today I have my guest Stephanie Oliveira, and we are going to be talking about our health, our weight, our bodies, our motivation, everything that really gets us to the point of where we can manifest anything that we want in life. So I'd like to welcome Stephanie. How are you?
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here, and I'm honored that you asked me to be here, so thank you.
Awesome. I know I couldn't sleep last night because I was like so excited.
Yay!
So I guess we'll start with you telling us a little bit about your history and your background, kind of working backwards. I know today you have your own business, you're working with other ladies that you just basically inspire them and you help them get to their goals, specifically around weight loss, but also just in their lives in general. So what led you up to that point?
So about as far back as I can remember, I have just always been overweight. I felt like I was the chunky kid, and it's funny how there's memories that you think back to and that just stick out into your mind. And so ever since I was young, I just feel like I remember thinking, I'd look at my friends and think, I feel so much bigger than them all the time. And they would shop at these cute little shops for clothes. And I wish that I could shop there, but they didn't have a big enough size. And, it's sad to think back, but like how I just didn't feel, I wanted to feel liked by people. And I felt like I didn't fit in because I didn't look like all my friends. And I would hate, going to pool parties and doing all the fun things that kids like to do because I was already self-conscious at such a young age. And so I started to, develop these inner battles with myself at a young age. And unfortunately, going into my teen years, would basically really do anything I could, to get that quick fix to feel like I could fit in. And, kids can be, there are kids that I remember would bully me and say things, and those still stick out to me as a 37-year-old woman. And so throughout my teen years, I tried all different things. I struggled with eating disorders, and I took diet pills and just did anything to just feel accepted. And I felt like I would use my personality to be really funny and make people laugh because I wanted to feel accepted in some way. And so throughout my teen years, I just felt like I really struggled with my weight, and went into my college years, and I still would do unhealthy things to have that quick fix because I just felt like I would say to myself, I wonder what it would feel like to be skinny and to like the body that I'm in. And I always wondered what would life be like if I was happy with myself? And so I was always just reaching for straws. What can I do next? What can I do next? And it really was probably about 20 years that I had this emotional eating, yo-yo dieting. And you name it, I tried everything. And so I think I almost went to school for nutrition and exercise because I felt like it was always in the back of my head because I always was trying to change my body. But I was in a family with healthcare. And so my mom was a nurse. And so I went into healthcare. And so I worked at a hospital in Boston for 15 years. And up until about 5 years ago, I still had this struggle with my weight. And I would try something for a while, and it just wasn't sustainable. And I would do something that was too strict. And then the second that I couldn't sustain it, I would be frustrated with myself, and then I would binge eat, and I would just get into this cycle of then feeling bad about myself. And then a couple of weeks later, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to try this again. And I would do something else. And it was this cycle of starting over again and starting over again. And I really was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to come out of this cycle. And so I was at a point in my life about 5 years ago, and I had been through a long-term breakup. I had an injury at work, and I just was in a really bad place. I felt like I had emotionally ate to the highest weight I had ever been. And I remember getting on the scale, and I saw the number, and I had this feeling like, oh my gosh, I've never weighed this much before. And I know that if I don't do something, it's going to keep getting worse. And it was at that time that I was presented with an opportunity. And it was an opportunity that at the time I didn't know where it was going to go. But what's funny about it is I was presented with the opportunity, but I said, I didn't really know what it was about first. And so I said no, and I said no, and it kept coming back, and it kept coming back. And so one day I said, okay, I'm just going to say yes, just so this person stops asking me about this opportunity. And I said, okay, just see what she has to say. And I still remember the moment that I welcomed the opportunity into my life. And I said, this could change my life. And it wasn't that I wanted to necessarily for it to become a business where it is now, but I just wanted to be the best version of myself. And that was my goal. And it was December of 2012. And I said in 2013, 13 is my favorite number. I said, it's going to be the year of me where I can actually like put on anything that I want and feel happy with my skin, in my own skin, and feel confident, and just to know how it felt to be happy with myself. And I said, I will do what I have to do because I clearly haven't been doing the right thing in the past. You know, I was trying to eat healthy and I was trying to exercise, but I didn't have all the right ingredients to make it work for what I needed. And so I had this just switch in my mind that said, Steph, if you want to see changes in your life you've never seen, you have to make choices and decisions that you've never made before. And so I knew that it was going to take time, and I had to get that quick fix mentality out of my head. I had to say, I don't care if this takes 3 months, 6 months, a year, but if I'm working towards this goal every single day, and if I get on the scale and it has a 0.0001 and I've gone down that much, then I celebrate that, and I celebrate every little step along the way. And if I gained weight that week, even though I felt really good, then I would have to accept it and know it was part of the journey and keep moving forward, because I knew that if I said, oh, I gained weight this week, even though I did really well, then I would just go back into my old ways. And so I knew that I had to keep moving forward because that was something I wouldn't have done in the past. And so celebrating every little thing, progress was progress, and I knew that I was moving forward. And so, you know, within a 3-month period, just using these different products really was just kind of like the missing link that I needed. And I was able to have a slow but sustainable weight loss. And I was just feeling different. I felt like I had a new power within me that I could actually do this. And it was really exciting. And I felt like I knew that if I just kept moving forward, I was going to hit my goals. And so I just kept doing that. And then, you know, that's where I kind of started to make this into a business, because people were seeing the light in me. They were seeing, you know, on social media, they were seeing me excited. They were seeing me happy. They'd say, you look so confident. Like, what are you doing? And that's when I really started to feel like, oh my gosh, like if I could make other women feel the way I do right now, that would make my day every day. And I loved my job at the time. You know, I loved working with children, and I loved being able to feel like I had purpose there. But I felt like there was this was a different purpose that really lit me up inside. And so that's really when I started to grow my business. And the more people that I started to help, the more I was like, I just need to do this every single day. And so overall, I did end up losing 50 pounds. And it's been an amazing journey. And I don't wish that none of, you know, all of the hard times I went through, I'm glad they happened, because I know I learned from them all. And I know it brought me to where I am today. And I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I didn't experience all that, you know, in my teens, in my 20s, and going through all of those ups and downs and those struggles, because now I can help women that do that. And women come to me and they say, I know you can help me because you were where I was. You know, I emotionally ate, I yo-yo dieted, I tried every diet system, pill, binged, starved myself. You know, it's really hard as a woman to go through that, especially if you're talking with someone that hasn't experienced it, because everyone's different. And there are so many women that can help women in health and fitness, but there's always going to be a few little things that connect you to somebody that says, this woman can help me because she gets me, you know, and that's what excites me. And when people, you know, write me messages and they say, you know, I can fit into a pair of jeans that I couldn't wear for 2 years, or I got off my cholesterol meds, like that's the stuff that drives me every day. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of brings me to where I am today.
That's absolutely incredible. It's an incredible journey, and I'm so proud of you. Can I say that?
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, this is near and dear to my heart because it's actually funny. We haven't mentioned this to our viewers, but Stephanie and I went to
Yes.
middle school and high school together. And when you were describing how you were trying to fit in with all those kids, it's like I could picture their faces and I knew their names when you were saying that. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I remember feeling like there were kids in our class that were like stick figures, you know, that literally were like negative side, like negative. And,
Yeah.
and I too felt like bigger than everyone because my body matured earlier than everybody else's. And it's really funny. And what you were just closing the last segment that you were just describing when you responded, it was like, you know, it really does matter when someone else gets you. Like I'm listening to your story, just sitting here being like, that could come right out of my own mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And it is slightly different for everybody. But I will say that for myself and a lot of people that I know, it was that kind of mentality that you get stuck in where you think you have the next answer.
Mm-hmm.
And like one thing doesn't work and you're like, aha, like this one's going to do it. And it's like, you have this memory lapse where the last one didn't work, but you forget that the last one didn't work. And it's, you're in that pattern.
Yes.
So when you got to the point where this woman was kind of like knocking on your door and wouldn't stop, and you decided to try something new, how did you know that it was off that hamster wheel?
I didn't really. When I said I was going to commit, in the back of my head, I said, I've tried everything else. So if this doesn't work, I won't be surprised. And this actually will be like a continuation of what I've dealt with, because it had been so many years of me trying things that didn't work that in the back of my mind, I knew that if it didn't work, then it wasn't like, oh, a big surprise because I had been through that. But I felt like having that mindset shift within me was what was going to make it work, and not just it being the product itself, but me really like digging in within myself and saying, you have to make different changes and different choices. Whether that meant, changing some lifestyle choices that I had socially, because I knew that I had to do different things to get the different results that I had never had.
So what did that feel like when you first started, kind of like if your clock is kind of going like this, right? All of a sudden you're like, and you stop the clock and you have to like, it's hard to get it to go the opposite direction, right?
Yeah.
And so when you were in that moment, like that period of time, I'm not sure how long it lasted, but like, what was that like to kind of like reverse the clock, if you will?
Oh my gosh. I felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. It was, there was just a moment that I remember like losing, I was losing weight, but I just felt different. I felt good from the inside out. And it's such a strange way to describe, but I just felt like everything within me was like healing versus just like losing weight. I felt like I could feel my confidence growing. I felt like I was happier. I just felt an overall improvement in myself, and that was giving me the motivation to move forward. But doing that, it is hard to get out of that like same cycle that you're in. But I think I wanted it bad enough that time. And maybe in the past, because I was trying quick fixes, things that were fast, diet pills. I was just praying that they would work. And I think that at this time, I was just ready to put in the hard work that I needed to do myself. And I knew that if I wanted it bad enough, then I would do what I had to do to make it happen, instead of just hoping it was actually like the product I was buying. It was really me within myself putting everything together and actually like, motivating myself, inspiring myself to do it, and continuing it forward.
Okay. So when you were building up that momentum, and let's say, our bodies are different times of the month, different things going on, water weight, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you would have, when you would I don't want to call it a setback, but when it would be different than what you were expecting.
Mhm.
But as this momentum is growing, how did you handle those, we'll call it a setback, those little setbacks?
So one thing that I started doing less was I wasn't weighing myself as often. So in the past, like when I weigh myself, it completely changes my mindset. So if I feel awesome and I'm like, I'm so proud of the week I had, and if I get on the scale and even if it's the same, if I weigh the same and I'm like, but I did so well all week, it will completely change my mindset for the entire day. Like it'll put me in a bad mood. And in the past, I would say, well, what's the point? I worked so hard all week and I stay the same, or I worked so hard all week and I gained a pound. What's the point? And I would go out and, for drinks and pizza and just give up. And so I knew that was a trigger for me. So instead of weighing myself every single week, I was weighing myself every single month. Mm-hmm. And I just was going by how my clothes fit and how I was feeling, because I knew that if I got on the scale and it was not what I wanted to see, it would put me in that backward tailspin. And so I just kind of was saying, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're eating well, you're working out. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to do every day, the scale's going to go down. So I knew it was kind of like a game I had in my head. I'd say, okay, if I weigh myself every single week, there's a chance that like a week or two, I'm not going to lose weight, because your body is sometimes it loses and then sometimes it doesn't. But I knew like over the course of a month on average, the scale would probably be down. And so it was that was my way of tricking myself to say, okay, when I get on the scale once a month, it's highly likely that the number will be lower than if I do it every single week. There's going to be like a setback somewhere in there. And so I kind of like took that like opportunity of a setback to be there so that I wouldn't have to really encounter it, if that makes sense.
A lot of people, including myself at times, like the scale is everything, right? It's the only focus. And it will make or break you. Mm-hmm. And I love that you almost sort of conceptually like moved the scale out of the way and removed it from the equation. So I'm wondering, in place of that scale being the target or the goal, what were some of the other goals that you put in front of you to keep that motivation?
It was really just, if I knew that, because I can tell, like if I've gained weight, I can tell in my clothes, I can like, when I gain weight, my boobs get bigger. Like girls are like, what? You gain weight first in your boobs? But I do. So like for me, if my clothes were feeling good and I was just really trying to trust the process and know that if I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, that I would be rewarded with the scale eventually going down. And now like, I rarely weigh myself because I have had to I feel like the scale is such a small way to measure our success. It's just like our body, but like there's so many other ways to measure your progress. And so I really only weigh myself if like, I feel like I need to just catch to see where I'm at, to see like, oh, have I gained a few pounds? Have I lost? But I really don't use the scale because I feel like it mentally can do so much damage to a girl's mind. Mm-hmm. And so I really was just trying to trust the process and know that if my clothes were feeling good, and other people saying things to me like, you look great, you look confident. I knew that I looked better from the outside. I knew that I was glowing. I knew that I was projecting good vibes, good energy. And that of course motivated me and had me keep going as well.
I watched your journey and I watched you come into yourself in a way that, you say the word confidence, but it's even more than that. Like I feel from the outside watching you is that you have completely discovered or maybe uncovered exactly who you are. And I know like for a lot of people, for all of us, like we're born and we're like, when we're born, we're like the true essence of ourselves, right? We haven't had disappointment yet. We haven't had all those things that get in the way. And the work that you have done to uncover that purity that you, let's say, born with or whatever, like your true essence, it absolutely shines. and you absolutely glow. And no wonder why you're inspiring so many people and attracting so many people, because you're walking the walk, you're talking the talk, like it's there, it's happening for you. And I love that about you. And at times I've been extremely inspired by you, because we all have those times where we kind of dip a little lower, or we get discouraged. And, you know, I know you're not superhuman at the same time, right? So you're going to have those times where maybe your newborn, well, now he's not a newborn, he's a little bit older, but maybe he's been crying all night, and like you haven't gotten your sleep, and you really don't feel like making your Shakeology, you know, body workout like you. So I'm wondering, in those moments where it gets really, really tough like that, like what is there that actually makes you do the right thing in those moments?
So, well, a couple of things. So I always remember my feelings of how I felt before I had lost the weight. And it was such like terrible feelings that it's so strong for me to be able to not fall back so far. Of course, there are times that, I mean, a few times a week, I'm like, oh, I don't feel like making a salad. Oh, I really don't feel like working out. You know, it's just because I do this now doesn't mean it's natural for me to want to do it. But I just love the way I feel so much now that is like my driving point. So when I do feel like, oh, I'm starting to like make decisions and I'm going down the wrong path, I think about how I felt before. I might look at a picture from me before. And that really does pull me back in. And I think it's a bad thing when I'm totally like 80-20. So that's been another thing of like being able to eat foods that are bad for you, you know, that I wouldn't say anything's bad for you, but, and to be able to not eat too much of it and binge on it. And it's the same thing. I always, like, I'm going out for dinner and I know I want to have, you know, wine or bread or whatever. I think about before I'm going, like, think about how you'll feel after you're done. And I kind of prepare myself that way. And so I have just kind of learned how I can eat so that I feel like I, had treats, but then I didn't overdo it. And also, if I do overdo it, learning to say, it's okay, tomorrow's a new day, and not just throwing away the whole weekend, or saying, screw it for a week, and not, that's a huge part, is just saying, like, it's okay. Like, we're all human. It's okay to mess up. Just get on the horse the next day. It's okay. And to not just throw things away, throw your hard work away from the whole week because you had one bad meal, or you ate 2 pieces of cake instead of 1, and so really, like, I pull into my emotions and feelings a lot to keep me on track. And just doing what I'm doing now, like, I love inspiring and motivating people. And when people message me and say, your posts got me off the couch today to work out, I think of those things in the moments that I don't feel like doing things, and know that I am there to help other people. And know that, like, it's not all about me. It's about what can I do for someone today.
I kind of want to dip into addiction just for a second, because when you were talking about eating in moderation, there are a lot of people that, there's a philosophy that we are biologically wired to be, like, addicted to whatever. And let's say in this case it's food, right? So for me, when I eat sugar or flour, like, I literally cannot stop eating sugar and flour. There are times in my life where I have, and I'm not sure what the conditions were at that time where I've been able to do it, but in general, like, I just pretty much have to avoid those foods. So I wanted to ask, like, in your past, do you feel like you were maybe aligned to that kind of thinking or that kind of mentality about yourself, but somehow you found the moderation?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked that, because sometimes I do say to myself, like, where was that switch? Because I feel like in my past, there have been times where I felt like once I started eating sugar, it was like, I literally cannot stop. And those were the times when I was younger that I would purge, because I would just eat so much and feel so bad about myself. And And so I've been able to, I don't know if it's just with self-work over the years of just being able to, I feel like if I cut things out completely, then if I had it a little, then I wouldn't be able to stop. And so I've kind of worked with myself to say like, okay, I do follow like the 80-20 rule. Like I eat most of the time, I try to eat well. And I've been able to train myself so that if I go out and I have a steak and dessert and a glass of wine, I can have that and then go back to eating, onto my routine the next day. But that's been a hard thing to work on. And that's the type of thing that I'm trying to teach the women that I work with, how I've kind of made that transformation, because that's really hard to do, to go from having this almost like you feel like you're addicted to it because you can't stop, to being able to have it sometimes. Because a lot of people feel like I can't have it at all, because if I have some, I will want it, all the time. And I feel like it's just something that you have to kind of play around with. But when you're in that moment, like really just always pulling back into like your emotions and your feelings. Like I know that I've been like, even just last week, I'm doing this like program right now that's pretty strict. And I ate some Easter candy. Now I've been saying no to Easter candy. I love Easter candy. It's like my favorite. I've been saying no to it for how long has Easter candy been out in CVS? Probably since Christmas. And then I was having like a bad day and I had like emotional trigger and I had a piece of candy. And then I'm like, this tastes so good. And I had another piece of candy and another piece of candy. And I think I had 5 pieces. And I had to like stop myself because I knew where it could go. And I said, think about how you will feel if you continue doing this. And that really was just kind of what drew me back into like be in control of what I was doing. Because I feel like you can go so easily out of control if you just mindlessly eat. And so really for me, it's just been like, pull yourself back in, be present in the moment, think about your feelings, what you're doing. And that's really been what I've used to be able to, go from extreme to being able to have it, a little bit and then walk away.
All right. I'm going to dig in a little bit more. I'm going to ask you, I think, a harder question, but let me just set this up for a second. So when you were feeling awful when you were younger, like 5 years ago, and you got to that point where it was like a breaking point, like you just couldn't do what you were doing anymore, we can look at that and we can say that that's a present negative. It's something in your life that you can point to. You have all this evidence and you can say, this is like a negative effect on me. It's not serving me. Okay. The opposite of that is an absent positive, something that you've may never have experienced before in your life, but it would be something that's positive for you. So when you get to the point of where that absent positive is present positive, let's say your weight journey where like now you've lost the 50 pounds, you feel amazing. It's like, so you have all this evidence that this is so positive for you, right? If people have not experienced that yet, if we have viewers here now that have never really gotten to that point where they can't feel that feeling and use that as their basis and motivation, how do you help someone who hasn't experienced that yet?
So I would just do it like a little at a time. So I truly feel like if someone comes to me and I couldn't just say like, you're going to do what I do, because that's not realistic. So it would just be something like, say they drink soda every single day. I would say, okay, how many times a day do you drink soda? We would start to just wean, like if you were weaning off something else. So I might say, okay, instead of 3 times a day, try to drink soda 1 time a day. If someone's not working out, they're not going to be able to work out every single day for 60 minutes. So I might say, just focus on walking 30 minutes 3 times a day. And so if I ease people into it, then it becomes more of the lifestyle, which is what we want. We don't want I don't want people to feel like they're just doing this diet with me, because then it's going to not last. And so I have to say, like, what are the things that you eat every single day? What are the foods that you like? What don't you like? Because I'm not going to just say you have to be eating all these fruits and vegetables that you don't like. So it really is like turning it into a lifestyle. And so it's different for every person. And that's why I say to people, what's your work schedule? What's your daily intake of sugar daily? Do you go to the bathroom once a day? Like, everyone is different. And so it would really be slowing it down and like breaking it down. And so I might take it into 21 days and then break it up into different sections, because it's not realistic for me to say to someone, you know, you are addicted to sugar and soda and alcohol, and then to just go cold turkey. And so for me, it would just be trying to slow that down and, you know, do a gradual thing. And, you know, mental health is important. And I would have people, you know, reading personal development and improving other parts of their life as well. You know, it's not just about the physical.
A word that you said earlier, but you didn't necessarily say now, was celebration. And for me, that was something that was completely foreign. Like, when I used to do music, I would like have a recording and I'd listen back and it would be like, I came in late there. I was flat there. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, the trumpet didn't, you know, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Always so focused on what was wrong and how to fix what was wrong. And maybe that's because I'm wired for personal growth. Like, I'm always looking to improve. Yeah. But I never knew how to celebrate myself. I mean, I had people in my life that were like the biggest cheerleaders, but I never did it for myself.
Yeah.
I went to this motivational seminar with my husband, I guess it was last year or the year before, and there was a man on stage and he was like, you know, it's all about attitude, and he's up there and he's shaking his butt and he's like, yeah, pat yourself on the back, you know? And if you were to just kind of like open the curtains on that one scene, you'd be like, what's going on here? But in context, it was like, what I got from it was like, oh my God, I've never celebrated myself. And it's so important to do that. So when you're talking about like breaking it down into the little segments for them, these little accomplishments that you knew and you know people can achieve, what's celebration like?
Well, I mean, I make sure, like, with my customers and my teammates that I work with, to celebrate that stuff. So I'm like, I don't care if you chose to not eat the donuts and cookies at work that day. You know, those little choices that you make, you may not think they matter, but it's the compound effect. Everything you do, little things you do every single day really do add up. So that one choice you make at lunch to have a salad instead of takeout, every time you choose to get up off the couch or you choose not to, that day you might be proud and say, yeah, that's awesome that I did it. But your body, you wouldn't lose weight from just choosing that one day to have a salad. And so celebrating those little things, because those little choices are really what's going to add up in the end. So if you choose to do that once a day, after 21 days, that's when you're going to see the effects. And so that's why I say to people, I don't care if it's a pound, it's a pound. It's a pound that you lost that you had a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And so that's why I really do celebrate that, because in life, most people don't celebrate those things. It's like at people's jobs, they don't get recognized for good work, for, you know, doing a good job. And so I really try to pull that into people in every single day, because those little things, for me to say to someone, you did awesome today, might just be the one thing they need to hear to make the good choices the next day. And to say, you know what, okay, maybe you made a few mistakes today. I always say, what was the good choices that you made today? What are you excited about? What are you proud of? Because that's the stuff that gets people excited to make good choices the next day. There's no point in harping on a bad choice you made. It doesn't matter. It's in the past, accept where you're at, and then move on forward.
We don't always remember where we came from. We don't always remember the progress that we're making. And most of us are on a trajectory for success, for growth. I mean, I know sometimes you can feel like you just had a bad year or you were like moving backwards, but in the grand scheme of things, I really truly believe that, you know, even some hardship is really moving you still on the forward trajectory. And so I'd like you to just tell us like really like the essence of how your life compares now to where you were 5 years or even before that.
Well, so it's funny because it's kind of a funny story. My husband we met through a mutual friend, and she had told him about me, and she's like, you should check her out on Facebook. And he like checked me out, and she's like, send her a message. You know, she's like, she's always on Facebook. Just send her a message and tell her like that, you know, I connected you guys or whatever. And so this was in a few months before like I had been presented with this opportunity, and he sent me a message and I didn't see it. And so that was at like where I was kind of like at the low of low in my life. And I, you know, was out of work for 6 weeks from an injury. I couldn't exercise, and I just was like at my low point. And then, you know, I was presented with this opportunity. I started losing weight. And 6 months later, I found the message in my Facebook, and I was like, who is this guy? And then I recognized the last name because he was related to someone that I knew. And I said, oh, maybe he's interested in my products. Maybe he wants to be a client. And I reached out to him. We went on a date the next day, and like the rest was history. And I said, it wasn't the right time when he reached out to me. And I truly feel like the universe works the way it works. And I needed to be happy with myself and love myself in order to find the love of my life. And so I truly feel like it all happens for a reason, and it's like so crazy. And so, yeah, I felt like when I saw that message, it was the right time. And that's why, you know, I found him, and then we got married, had kids. And I just feel very blessed for everything that I've been through. And I know that everything happens for a reason. I truly believe in that. And I just think that, you know, the way that I feel every day because of my weight loss, I truly feel like it's a blessing and a gift. And it was for a reason. I feel like I went through what I went through for a reason. And I feel like I've been able to lose the weight so that now I can help other people. And I just feel like every day I'm excited to live my life. And I'm always looking for ways to improve my life. I'm super into personal development. And I feel like it's all one. It's not just physical. And so that's why when people are losing weight physically, you know, I want them to work on themselves mentally, spiritually, you know, in all aspects of their life, because I truly do feel like they're all connected, and you can't be happy and fulfilled in your life if you're lacking in other places. You know, you could lose 50 pounds, but if you're lacking in other areas, then you're not going to be happy. It's not just about the physical. And so I just feel like the past few years of me being in this business, I've learned so much about how it's not just about the physical. And I love teaching other women about that as well. So yeah, I just love waking up every day and doing what I'm doing. And 5 years ago, I wasn't happy doing what I was doing. You know, it was long. I worked 13, 14-hour days. And then when I moved somewhere else, I had 3-hour commutes. And I just was like, there has to be another way to live. And I would be crying a lot, and I just didn't feel fulfilled. And so this whole, 5 years of doing this, I just feel like I'm where we're supposed to be.
I get that. And I feel like I've been there before. And I feel like I'm getting there again, but it's funny how we use like different methods to get to different places, right? And you were when you were talking, I was like, I have this concept that I work with my clients where, I believe in inner and outer power. And I believe that when you learn how to strengthen both and you can join the forces, that you can literally manifest anything that you want in your life. And it's all about customization, right? Like we can customize our own characteristics. If we're leading with characteristics that we just don't like, we can learn how to mute them or quiet them and find the characteristics that we love and lead with those. Yeah. And so we can literally rearrange our entire inner selves, which would include mental, emotional, and physical. And then when we're at a point where that's strengthened, we have an opportunity to connect with an outer power, whether it be a religion, whether it just be something spiritual, whatever you want, you can decide. You can customize how it loves you, how that power strengthens you, how it propels you in life, how it gives you the things that you want and need. Yep. And really sounds like you have, I want to say the word mastered, because
I
you
don't know about mastered, but
mastered,
I'm
and
working on it.
I'll say it that way. You've figured out a recipe where you're making your life work for you, and you are achieving goal after goal after goal. I see it on Facebook. It's like, I want to become a ballet teacher. Is that how you say it? Ballet?
Bar. Yeah. Like
I
going
want
to
to
the bar.
become
Yeah.
a bar teacher. And it's like, poof, like I check back in like 2 months later and you're like a bar teacher, right? So I'm wondering, like, talk a little bit about that recipe of your inner strength or your inner power, how it's working with that outer power.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because 2018 has really been like my goal of like working on my spiritual journey. Because last year there was a lot of change in our lives with our family. And, I left my full-time job to do this full-time, and my husband started his own career. So it was a lot. I had a baby. So 2017 was a struggle mentally for me. And I knew that I had to start digging into myself deeper to really pull out of that, because I felt like I needed help from the universe to kind of help guide me. And so, meditation and doing some inner work has really been a bigger part of moving forward, because it can be hard. There are days that the baby's sick, or, I'm helping my husband with his business to get it off the ground. And I think it's kind of funny, but it goes back to like celebrating where you have been before. Because there are days that I'm like, I didn't do this. I didn't do this. I didn't check this off my list today. My to-do list is just getting longer, and I didn't do what I wanted. And Mike will say, like, you need to like stop and just remember how far you've come, and really like celebrate that. And just know that like, you don't have to be perfect every day. Everyone's human. And if I just say to myself, if you can do 1 or 2 things every day to, move towards your goals, whether it's a business goal or your health goal, and just be a little better than the day before, learn from your day, and really like adding gratitude into your life. Because I have been finding that the more grateful I am for whatever it is in that moment, I just start to attract more things to be grateful for. And it's funny, because I was actually starting to write a Facebook post today about that, and just how I feel like the more grateful I am for things that I have versus thinking like what I don't have yet, every day I have more to be thankful for and more to be grateful for. And it's just like when I have a journal that I've been doing every morning. And when I first started it, I had 5 or 6 things, and then, and each day I felt like more was just coming to mind. And like today I had like 20 things, it was just like coming off, writing onto the paper, because I just feel like what you focus on grows. And no matter how bad of a day you have, there's always something to be grateful for, whether it's that you can walk, whether it's that you can exercise, something as simple as the things that we take for granted. And I think just appreciating those things, being happy with where you're at, being proud of where you're at, and then just kind of moving on.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I just, gratitude is so important. And you're right. Like, whether you believe in the law of attraction or whatever concept you believe in, it's like, you do attract what you're focusing on, whether it be positive or negative or something neutral. A lot of people kind of, I know myself, there have been times where I just like feel like I'm sitting in a neutral spot for so long.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like that gratitude, like witnessing miracles, whether you believe in coincidences or not, like if they're not coincidences, those moments where things are aligning in such an unique and special way that you're like, what?
Yes.
So, that starts coming more and more and more, and you start feeling yourself like in this flow.
Yes.
And it's almost like the Matrix, where like, that scene where the bullets are like coming at him and he's just like going like this. It's like, instead of bullets, it's just kind of like, we're catching like wonderful thing after wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And even if they are bullets, something that's like challenging or like negative, it's just like, we know how to
work with it.
Way. And every once in a while one's going to clip us, but your point, I mean, when you have that motivation, when you have that determination, when you're feeling, that feeling that you want to feel, even if in the moment you don't, you still have it in the forefront of your mind as a goal, somewhere where you want to arrive again. I mean, it's so obvious, Stephanie, that you are really living what you believe. And it's so powerful. So if you were to kind of extract the top 2 or 3, like sort of takeaways from this whole transformation that you're still going through, and you were to kind of share that with someone else, what would they be?
Probably for sure, just celebrating the small things. I would say really just trying to enjoy the process and the journey and not just always be focused on the destination, because there's so many things that come along the way, and embracing things even when they're hard and knowing that everything that comes your way is given to you for a reason and you're going to learn from it. So even things that are hard, you have to learn from it, say, you know, why did this come to me? What can I learn from it? And then move forward. Because I truly believe that even the things that we struggle with are really, they make you who you are today. And so, you know, celebrating, enjoying the journey, and just believing in yourself, you know, and I think that can be a really hard thing. And that's when I have a new client, you know, I say like, I am going to believe in you before you believe in yourself, because it's hard, you know, but just taking, even if you can believe in yourself just a little bit, you know, then we can work on that and have that grow. But believing in yourself is definitely an important thing.
How does someone become your client?
So I'm on Facebook and Instagram, so I can, you know, share those handles if you want.
Share.
Okay. So facebook.com/StephOliveira13. And then my Instagram handle is Steph Oliveira Love.
You specifically are a Beachbody coach, and that is something that was the opportunity that you were talking about earlier that someone else kind of knocked on your door.
Yes.
So as a Beachbody coach, if other people are interested in doing coaching as well, how does that process work?
So if it's for, you know, if it's someone that just wants to get healthier, so if they want to be a customer, then I would talk about, you know, really find out what their goals are, what they need. There's tons of options. But I would find out, you know, what their work schedule, what they're eating, you know, all those type of questions we talked about before, to really find out how I can help them best, because everyone's different. So it would be a way for me to customize something that works for them to make it realistic and sustainable and into a lifestyle. And then the coaching opportunity is, I have an amazing little tribe of girls that I wouldn't be where I'm at today either if I didn't have the support of my teammates. And it's just a group of ladies that love on each other and we support each other. And it's just a nice way to be your best self and get paid to do it. You know, that's kind of how I look at it. And, you know, I really started it to just go to the beach and feel comfortable in a bathing suit. And that was it. It wasn't this like huge dream to like have a business and leave my full-time job. I just wanted to be happy at the beach in a bathing suit. And so I tell people, you know, whatever it is that you feel like you need in your life, maybe it's just to feel more confident in your clothes. Maybe it's to pay your car payment. Maybe it's to get off certain meds. Maybe it's to just have more mental clarity in your life. There's so many different aspects that coaching can help you with. It doesn't have to be that you want to lose 50 pounds like I did, or you want to leave your full-time job. I have many coaches on my team that love their jobs, but they use this as an opportunity to have more freedom with finances so that they can travel and have home improvements. And then there are people, you know, that don't even need to lose weight per se, but they know that exercising and living a healthier lifestyle would benefit them. And so there's so many different aspects. It's not just black and white. And I just feel like it truly can help anyone and everyone, because everyone needs more fulfillment in their life, I believe. And I think that why not be the best version of yourself and do it with a group of women? So that's kind of like what the coaching thing is. And it's kind of nice you can use it as accountability. You know, like I said before, knowing that I need to be there for others keeps me accountable and keeps me on track. And so even sometimes people use it for that as well. So it's like, you can kind of take something you don't love to do, like, oh, I don't love to work out every day, but if you make it part of your job, get compensated for it, then it makes it a little more fun and easier as well.
And sometimes you do those in exotic locations, don't you?
Oh yes. So we earn vacations every year. So basically just to help a few people a month, I earn an annual trip and we go, it's all inclusive. So next week we're leaving for Mexico.
Wow. Ooh,
Yes.
wow.
We get to bring a friend. So Mike gets to come along with me. Maybe next year. It's in the Bahamas next year. So Bahamas is what's on tap for next year for anyone that's interested. But yeah, it's what's nice about this company is like they recognize so much. And that's where we've learned as coaches to recognize. They talk about like there's vital behaviors we do as coaches, and they are personal development. It's like part of my job to read or listen to a podcast every single day. It's part of my job to ask people to do this with me. And it's part of my job to recognize my customers and my teammates, because that's the type of thing that doesn't happen in everyday life. And that's what makes people successful, is to hear like, great job, you did awesome, keep up the good work. And just hearing that from, when someone says that to me, it's motivation, and so having things like trips and things like that is just like a nice little perk.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm like ready to sign up right now. Like it's just, the way you put it, it's like we all see like flashy, shiny objects all the time, and we're like, oh, that's going to be the quick fix, or oh, that.
Yeah.
Like you've proven to us today that this method, at least for you, has not been some kind of shiny object.
Yeah.
It really has been a staple now in your life that like you are the shiny object. And it's sustainable. It's like it's coming out of the tips of your hair, and you can see the glow in your eyes, and it's hard to not, if you identify with Stephanie, like it's hard to not say, wow, like I'm struggling and that might be something that I want to try. So I encourage you, if you are struggling out there, clearly Stephanie is the person to work with. She is just on fire and absolutely energetic and positive, and it's obvious that she cares about others. So if you want to reach out to Stephanie, please do. Again, tell us your Facebook and your Instagram one more time.
Facebook.com/StephOliveira13 and Instagram is Steph Oliveira Love.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely.
Oliveira is Olive, IRA.
How many times do you say that to like
all the time?
Hi, Comcast. Yeah. Please.
Yes. Yes. The E and the I are always. I'm like, it's Olive, like the olive, IRA.
Love it. Love it. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here with me today. This was absolutely fantastic. I tried not to have expectations, but they completely exceeded it. I had so much fun with you. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for asking me. It was an honor. Really.
Awesome. So thank you all for watching. This has been a wonderful day today. It just got better for me, even better being here with Stephanie. So if you like what you see, just subscribe to the channel. We'll still have more coming out. There isn't a regular cadence right now, so it's good to subscribe so you can catch it every time that a video comes out. So thank you all for being here, and much love to you all. Thanks so much. Like this is casual too. If you feel like you drink in the middle of it, do that too. Like, okay. Yeah. This is not like NBC,
When I'm looking at you, or should I be looking at my camera? Like,
I like what you're looking at right now. Are you looking at me?
Yeah, I'm looking at you. So
yeah, that's good. I like that better. It's like kind of weird to be like,
yeah, okay.